Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans. It is Joe in the pilot seat for Rule the Galaxy, chapter 166. 166. It's Order 66 plus 100 here on Rule the Galaxy. And we are doing a, not so much a farewell, but a bon voyage show this evening as I will be heading off to the motherland. Italy is calling for my wife and I to go spend 2 weeks. And before I left the show in the capable hands of Alfie, Brent, DDoc, Nick, and others, I thought it'd be great for us to get together one more time and talk about the wars. As always, you can follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter and Instagram. Just Rule the Galaxy on Facebook and YouTube. You can email us ruletheGalaxySW@gmail.com. You can check us out on TikTok, where DDoc is blowing things up. Rule the Galaxy podcast there. Last but not least, if you want anything cool with the Rule the Galaxy logo on it, go to Etsy.com, type in Rule the Galaxy, all one word, in caps. You'll find our gear, buy it up. They'll take care of you. So, chapter 166, and I'm going to go around the room as DDoc is late as usual, and we'll start with my good cousin, Alfie. Alfie, how you doing?
Great, man. I feel like I haven't been on here for a few weeks, so excited to be back. Feeling that Andor hype. Can't wait to watch it tomorrow and come right back and talk about it.
Yeah. I'm sorry I'm missing out on that, but I know you guys will just kill it and go through those 3 episodes and knock those out while I'm gone. And I look forward to hearing those while I'm traveling. I'm sure Lori would love for us to put it on speaker and just listen to you guys talk about Star Wars while we're traveling from Rome to Florence to Positano.
I mean, what else are you going to listen to while you're there? It's not like there's anything to see or do. I bet she'd be just as happy as when she wanders up on that random Italian toy store that you find on the streets.
Not that I've looked any of those addresses up at all. Don't know. I randomly find them. I mean, it would be a random occurrence. So
aren't there Ninja Turtle cemeteries over there in Italy?
There are. I can go and see all the Ninja Turtles while I'm there. So I'm excited about that. That voice you just heard was the Star Wars Legion guru here on Rule the Galaxy. That was Mr. Brent Dykeman. Brent, how are you?
Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. I'm proud to be from St. Kilda. Oh, when the Saints marching in. I know I messed up the end of it, but for those not watching, I was singing a footy song for the St. Kilda Saints, yep. Which is a shirt that my friend is wearing. I had to represent the footy. I believe they started
their finals are this weekend, Brent. Their finals are this
September.
Weekend.
Yeah. Grand final. Who's in it? Do you know? I haven't paid attention this year.
Yeah, it is Geelong versus Sydney.
Okay.
So Sydney Swans versus
the Swans. All right.
Yeah. All right. I was just speaking with my good friend Stephen Black, or Blackie as I call him, and he is a Sydney Swans member. He flies up to Sydney from Melbourne all the time to watch the game.
Wow.
And so I was talking to him. He's super excited. So
well, yeah, because it doesn't have to fly. He can just go to the cricket ground and
go watch it. The MCG, baby. We've both been there. So.
Sorry. So for any of those, we talked American football last week, and we're going to talk some Australian rules football this week. Understand, we're good. We hit all the continents. We're bringing up cricket here soon.
We have a huge following in Australia, so they're going to love this. And to go along with that, I just did, we're just talking to Scott Ryfin the other day, and he told me, and you'll hear this very soon, he told me he felt like we were one of the most well-rounded and diverse Star Wars podcasts there are because of the topics that we hit. So I would say we've now hit American football, Australian rules football, a little about, there's a few other topics. We just had Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones discussions. I mean, come on.
I got to talk some Game of Thrones stuff. Like, there's a lot going on in my head with that show right now. The House of the Dragon. It is. I like it, man. Like,
yeah, so it's really good.
I'll just stop there because I think we want to try to have a little Rule the Galaxy of the Dragon talk coming up. But like, there's a lot going on there.
You got it. You got it. Before we start into that, hey, our good friend from Philly just showed up. DDoc, brother, how are you? Fly, Eagles, fly right now.
Yes, yeah, it was a good night last night. I was pretty tired today. I always have a hard time sleeping after Monday Night Football. And
Definitely.
the Tuesday after is like just a drag every time. But it's always good when you win. You have that to get through it. When you lose, it makes it a lot worse. So I'm happy. We've got a target on our backs now. I'm hearing a lot of people putting us up there at the top of the NFC. So
the power rankings on NFL came out and they were like 4 or 5.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't like. Here's the thing. I'm pretty laid back and normal. I close to normal. I'm not. I won't say I'm normal, but when it comes to Eagles football, I'm pretty psychotic, honestly. And it's like, I'm getting phone calls from my dad and my brother the whole game. We're talking about the refs. We're talking about certain plays. I was on the phone with my brother for 45 minutes after the game last night. And I said, Joe, my brother's name is Joe, said this season's only going to end 2 ways. It's going to end in heartbreak in the playoffs, or we're going to win the Super Bowl. So we will see.
Okay. Well,
hopes and dreams early.
I don't know if any of you are checking out the Welcome to Wrexham show on FX, but I will tell you, it is way up there. Very good. And to hear Rob McElhenney, I believe his name is McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He is over the top an Eagles fan. So it's great to see organizations like that have such a great fan base with some success. And but that show, I will give it 2 thumbs up. You should go check it out on FX.
Okay, I just got to pause for a second. You do say it's a great fan base, but they are the only stadium that has a courtroom. They're the only stadium that has a courtroom in their stadium. So not only are they a good rabid fan base, but they can get a little crazy as well.
At least you did not go snowballs at Santa Claus right away, because there is a story behind that Santa was pretty drunk and making an embarrassment of himself. So
well, at the same time they were also they cheered somebody breaking
Michael
their
Irvin.
neck.
Michael Irvin when he tore up his knee, I think, or something like that.
There was a rousing round of applause.
We're talking about all this, but then they might be the one with a court and a jail in their stadium. The Colts fans who are listening to us right now, they might just have an insane asylum or a therapist session at their stadium right now.
The number of bandwagon jumpers off is amazing at this moment. Everyone at the school, that is the topic of the conversation, is how quickly, well, at least I don't have to worry about the NFL season this year.
Wow. Well, we've become part ESPN here on Rule of the Galaxy, and that's good. More diversity here. Gosh, guys, we've got Andor coming up. We've had a little lull, with some things going on, not much going on, but there have been some news, some tidbits. Is there any topic you guys want to hit before we do some Andor discussion or anything like that? Anything that's popped up that you've seen? I know we were bouncing around some things about Mr. Gilroy today. Back and forth. Anybody have any more insight on that for me that I can chew on for a while?
I'm just so excited to see a Tony Gilroy movie that they have in the production. Oh, I'm sorry. They don't.
Do you want to hit that, Alfie?
Well, the thing that struck me about it is, why would he, it's have the rights to whatever it said when, Disney's the only one that has rights anyway. So it really didn't make a whole lot of sense. But I will admit, I was happy for a second. I liked Rogue One. Andor looks good. But like I said in the chat, boy, if this were to be true, is this not The Last Jedi all over again? Disney says, we love The Last Jedi so much. You know what, Rian Johnson? Here's your trilogy. And then what are we, 5 years down the road now? And we're still saying, we talk about it every once in a while. Maybe if the stars align, we'll get back to that. But
I'm part of this fan base. I'm part of a podcast that all we do is sit around and talk about Star Wars. Yeah. But I feel like we ruin ourselves by trying to find every little tidbit about Star Wars, get our hopes up, and then get them crushed.
Nobody
hopes up,
makes you do that. We do it ourselves. We love it.
But I'm so happy that because my statement when you first posted that he got signed, I said, and if it happens, and then about an hour and a half later in the chat, you said, yep, looks like they're retracting the story. And I said, well, right? Like, it was just, I don't know. It seems too good to be true because he did do a good job. He has had a track record of pretty good stuff. So,
hey, you know what? I want to throw out some props here real quick, and we're gonna take another curveball right here. Ready? Brent, I saw a post about you
oh, sweet
this
Jesus,
week.
no.
Come on, let's hit that. What I mean,
Why?
you worked your butt off,
No.
and come on, give us a scoop
Did
on
you,
that.
DDoc, you saw did you see the topless post?
No.
I didn't
No,
see.
so I had to get a picture taken in my undies. So
Yeah, but it was worth it.
I'm a model, you know what I mean? I shake my little tush on the catwalk. Yeah, on the catwalk. So there's a Xferals for somebody in the nation that is in there. There's a kickboxing it's a fitness kickboxing. It is a gym. They're all over the US. So if you're all over the US, they may be international. But they do like a 10-week challenge to start off. So you become a fit member, and then over the course of 10 weeks, you compete against everybody else who's a 10-weeker at your location. And whoever has like the biggest transformation. So it's not just like lost weight. It's not just, it's just whoever has the bigger overall health benefits over the course of 10 weeks wins $1,000. They have a follow-up to that is for 1 year, then you get thrown into a pool with everybody else who does it for a year and everyone else in the United States. So it's a bigger pool and it's a full year and you can win $10,000. But you have to compete. You have to finish the first one to be put into the $10,000 pool. Saturday, I was named the winner of the challenge. I lost 14 pounds. I lost 6% body fat. Let's see what else is there. Like 10 inches from like my waist, hips, chest, thighs. So they do, and then they do like the high school fit test. I knew that I was out of shape. And so in my head, I'm like, all right, I'll sandbag this and do like 1 or 2 sit-ups and then like just show improvement. And then like I knew I wasn't going to do well with push-ups. And then you do a mile run. So my initial back in July was 0 push-ups. Did absolutely none. Couldn't get like I could go down and fell on my face like 5 times, but I couldn't push myself back up. I was trying to do a full sit-up, and you have to have your hands on your chest. You can't get the momentum. I did a total of 0 sit-ups as well because I couldn't get past that sticking point, right? I could do a crunch, but I couldn't get all the way up. Saturday, I was able to do 20 push-ups, and I think it was 11 sit-ups. I did the mile run. My first initial mile run was 15 minutes, and my mile run on Saturday was 11:45. So yeah, so I had like a pretty decent transformation.
Heck yeah, you did.
Good
Well,
job.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I just want to give you congrats and props for it. So.
And the other piece of information that is shocking as all hell to me is I stepped on the scale when I lost the 14 pounds at 288 pounds. That is lighter than I was when I was 14 years old. Because when I was a kid, so there's 2 things that's amazing about that. One, I was a ginormous 14-year-old. I was 6 foot, 289 pounds. And I remember that because there's like when you were in like junior football league, they gave you like or like little baseball, you had like the baseball card and you could put stats on the back and you thought you were all cool because you had a baseball card. I'm sure Joey had something like that okay. So mine was in junior football league when I was in 8th grade, I was 6 foot, 289 pounds. I stepped on the scale as a 42-year-old man at 6'4", 288 pounds. So 2 things. One, that's extremely lighter than I can remember being in my adult life, obviously. But the fact that I was also 14 and basically the same size is just, I was a freakish and am a freakish human being.
I tell you what, man, that's a good story. You know, we've had Scott Ripen on here who's lost.
Yeah, he's rides this
100
bike.
plus,
I mean, that dude has been on his bike. He's a machine on his bike from the pictures on social media.
Yep. And then Adam Bray, who's lost, I mean, he's cut his body weight in half. And I mean,
Yeah.
so look, we talk about a lot of things on here, but I thought it was worth the time and effort to give you props because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of effort. And I'm sure you probably feel better. You know, I know doing all the work stinks, but the end results, you feel better and that's a good thing. So congrats to you for doing that, and congrats for winning that thing. That's pretty awesome.
So if you have a Farrell's, look them up online. If you have a Farrell's local, I recommend it. It's fun. It is cardio. It's a lot of work, but it's fun cardio because you can take some of your stress out on the bag, kick and punch the crap out of it, and then work some of that sweat out. So it's been good.
Good. Anybody else do anything miraculous like that? Alfie, DDoc, nothing? DDoc's just blowing up on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. You know, we can't keep track of all his numbers there. So
yeah, it's crazy.
Joey actually reached out to me and said, man, DDoc's blowing up, man. He's like, I watch his stuff all the time. He's got numbers galore. I was like, yeah, he's doing a great job.
The TikTok is good. I've gotten sponsorship offers in the emails and everything too. So I'm working through some of that. My wife wants to take over my email, and I'm like, I feel like I'm actually doing business here. And she just rolls her eyes at me. She's like, you have no clue what you're doing. So we'll see. I like to work it out. I just started an Instagram, and I feel like a dad right now because I haven't been on Instagram for I don't even know. Ever since Avengers Endgame came out, I deleted all of my social medias because I had the movie spoiled for me. So I deleted everything. And now I'm back on Instagram for the first time since Avengers Endgame. So yeah, I know how to handle spoilers now. So yeah, fun stuff.
Good. Guys, hey, you know what's coming up? And I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna be in Italy, but I'll take the L on this one. Great Ohio Toy Show, October 1st, Xenia, Ohio. I tell you what, if you're listening, Rule of the Galaxy listeners, followers, what have you, you got to go check it out. I know Damon One Kenobi goes there. You know, last time we took a whole group of people. Joey's got a wedding to be in that day. I'll be in Italy that day. Tom Line, one of our great listeners, has said, "Hey, if some of you guys go, let me know. Let's go pull that." So if you're around the Midwest, Xenia, Ohio, near Dayton, go check out the Great Ohio Toy Show. Alfie, I'm going to be working on getting you some buddies to go on the road with because you need to go. You love that thing and it's awesome. So
it's one of those things. It sounds silly. It's just a toy show, right? A big garage sale of toys, but it is indescribable, the size and magnitude. And just whatever you're into, they have it. You can find it there.
Yeah, I would say
I had never seen in person the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier or the space shuttle. And to see them at a booth, at a fairgrounds at the swap meet was something else.
That aircraft carrier is ginormous.
Huge.
Yeah.
I heard a radio commercial the other day for the Toy Hall of Fame, and I think they said it was in Rochester, New York. There is a Toy Hall of Fame.
So my dad's told me about this before, and they vote certain things in, and I think, I'm not kidding you, a stick and a cardboard box have been put into the Toy Hall of Fame. And if you think about it, right, a cardboard box can be anything. And when you're 3 to 5 years old,
I have one in the garage right now.
It absolutely is absolutely anything. And he told me about it a few years ago. He was like, every year, yo-yo or some other things get put in there, but they put in a cardboard box and a stick because a stick could be a lightsaber, it could be a cane, it could be anything. And it's cool. Yeah. But my dad's told me about that.
Well, that's what I'm possibly going to make that a little list trip at one point to go up there and see it because to me, the original Kenner lineup of Star Wars figures has to be in there. They said Light Bright is up to go in this year though. So it's wow. I think it's like a prestigious, this takes a while to get in there type thing. So
I mean, it's not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame then.
Yeah, but still it is to us, right?
yeah. No, that's awesome. Rochester, New York, Toy Hall of Fame. You have to check that out. And after watching that SpongeBob episode, where he and Patrick spend the entire episode inside the box, and it drives Squidward nuts. You're right, Brent. The cardboard box is great. So, yeah. Okay, Rogue Squadron. I'm going to throw that out there. Officially canceled? Yes. Not? I don't know. I mean,
at this point, like, who really cares? It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. It's never getting made. Just let it go.
The only thing that I care about is I really love the idea of that movie. Like, I really love like Top Gun with X-Wing.
Yeah, who doesn't? It sounds awesome.
I mean, oh my God. Like, we've
had 30 years of Rogue One stories. How can this not be a thing? How is it this difficult? But you're, like I keep saying over and over again, this is the company that could not make a Boba Fett movie. They had to shelve it and shelve it and shelve it and shelve it. They could not make a Kenobi movie. It took 8 years and dozens of writers, and still the best that they got was to rip off some comic books, a novel, and a video game.
There's no source material, Alfie. Quit fooling yourself.
But at the same time, yes, they did rip off the video game, and that one I have a hard time with, just because they're making it for 30,000 or 30 million, and there's 10,000 that played that game. Now, granted, it was a great game. Granted, it was popular, and granted, hardcore Star Wars fans played that game. But the general population who they were trying to make a show for,
but that's
had no
the best
idea
of the best. That's what they could come up with. No one that working on that show said, "Hey, man, that's kind of like, weren't we over at your apartment playing that game?" And this is like the exact he swam in the exact same way.
Oh, I mean, I've heard it. I haven't got that far, right? Like, I stopped playing it because some of the puzzles were a little too hard for my immature brain.
Same thing.
Yeah, and I think he even drowns the stormtroopers in a hallway in it too. So, like, yeah, identical. I mean, and that's the worst part, is like Cal Kestis is probably coming into live action. So it's like, if he ever runs into Kenobi, he could be like, "Hey, I've done that too at Fortress Inquisitoris."
In the canon timeline, it's the exact same time frame, give or take a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. 2 Jedi snuck into the castle the exact same way and encountered the Inquisitors almost the exact same.
But Cal Kestis didn't have a little girl underneath his cloak as he was walking out.
It's true. And he had a cool little droid to help him as well.
See?
Yeah.
There's differences.
Lola was with Cal Kestis, not with the person he was trying to save. Yeah, it's completely different. This isn't a snow planet. The guy even licked his fingers and said, "This is salt, not snow."
Hey, real quick.
Okay, you're going to talk about that. Let's just the desert. Like, come on, man. Let's just throw another few desert planets out there. And if Andor has a desert planet, so help me God.
You know it will. Guess it's the cheapest, easiest one.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If it hasn't, if Andor, and I'm glad that
it's not Tatooine. It's Jakku. It's a whole new thing.
Yeah. Hey, before we go down this rabbit hole and we just start destroying all the things we love, I want to give a shout out to a new listener, Mark Carlson. Mark Carlson, believe it or not, 23-year-old kid, just graduated from college, started working at my day job. Okay. And the CEO of the company went around today and started saying, "Hey, any of you guys like Star Wars? Joe over there runs a Star Wars podcast." And so, of course, I got plenty of peppered questions at me, and some people, a gentleman named Josh, I'm not even going to give Josh his last name because I'm not sure he'll ever listen, but if he does, he came up to me, he goes, "So you like Darth Vader or Captain Kirk better?" I was like, "Gosh." I was like, "Really?" It's like, "Really?" But I will say this, Mark Carlson, good young man. He reads all the books. He does the audios. He reads them. He grew up with Clone Wars, so he's a Clone Wars addict. I told him, I was like, "Check us out. If you like it, great. If you don't, understood, but check us out and see what you think." So Mark, I know you were going to start checking us out. Thanks for looking into us there. But it was just kind of odd because I had to go and answer questions from people all over. And one lady was like, "Now, is it Star Wars or Star Trek?" And I said, "Well, first of all, it's not Star Trek of anything. It's Star Trek of something, but it's not that either." So it just became a whole mess. And little things like that, they fluster you when you're busy working throughout the day. So anyway, Mark, thanks. And to my boss, thanks for throwing me under the bus to everybody today. So anyway, let's see.
Got to grow some way.
I'm every day. I'm getting stronger every day. Did you guys see the email I sent you about the Clone Wars tabletop game?
Yes, saw that today actually online.
I did not get a chance to read this. Tell me something about it. It's not Legion, obviously. What is this all about?
A role-playing game with Clone Wars.
Okay.
Characters. I think you get to choose which faction you start with, and then start rolling what's the dice called with all the sides.
Which one? There's multiple different sides. You have an
come on,
8-sided die.
the easiest one.
You have a 20-sided, 6-sided, a D6. You got a D6 because that's 6-sided. You got a D8 that's 8-sided. You got a D4 that's 4-sided. You got a D20. They go up to D100.
So does that have 100 sizes?
Yes, sir. It's got it goes from 1 to 99.
Okay, so with that, you guys looked at it. Do all the characters come in this, or do you have to go buy the extra characters to play the game?
It looked like from the box that I saw from one of the guys that does the Legion podcast was talking about it. He just talks all Star Wars. It looks like there are 12. I'm just guessing from what the picture is in my head. Looks like there's 12 miniatures that come in the game. There's about 6 of the light side and there's 6 of the dark side. Okay. Maul, Grievous, and I think maybe Ventress are ones that I think are on the dark side. And then I think you got Obi and Annie, and I'm not sure, probably Padme and
Windu,
Plo Koon,
Yoda,
Ahsoka.
Yeah. Right. So the other part that as I didn't pay that much attention to it as he was talking about it, but it's cooperative play, which is different than it is at any other game, which basically means you are playing against AI. So if it's the 4 of us that are playing, so there's a mechanic in the game, the 4 of us are making decisions and we're playing against the cards and an AI. So you would flip cards for the other side. So if we chose light side, since Joe, you're a light side guy, if we chose light side, we would play and make collective decisions to try to advance or whatever, win the objective for the light side. Okay. And then you would flip cards over that would make the dark side do X, Y, and Z, and you have to respond to that. So you can collectively, I'm not trying to beat you, we're trying to beat them.
Okay. Is it a dungeon? So is it similar to a Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing then, where you go on quests together?
I would say it's kind of in a Dungeons and Dragons, but it's also, this is one of the ones, and I don't know enough about it, but a friend of mine played, there's a Lord of the Rings, and I think there's even there's a Song of Ice and Fire. I can't think of the name of the show now.
Game of Thrones.
There's a Game of Thrones game that's very similar to it as well, where you're competing as a house against others as well as anyways. So, yep. And the Lord of the Rings game, somebody carries the ring, and the longer you wear it, you go to the elfish heaven, because that's where they send you off if you wear the ring. So you try to beat Saruman. Anyways, same kind of concept, but with the Clone Wars.
Okay. Well, when we get DDoc and T-Bob and some others to finally make a road trip in, and we have a Rule the Galaxy get together in Indy, we'll have to play some Legion, and then one of us will have to buy this game and try it out over a weekend. Because
I'll be buying it. It's a $60 price point. For all those figures you get in there, they're paintable figures. I'll be buying it. I'll be painting them. So
you're going to be painting them, sir. You're a mini painter.
Wow.
I got an airbrush here, Brent. I got my army painter paints. I just don't do it all the time.
I'm just going to buy it and get the figures and then take the game back.
Hold up. You got an airbrush?
I've got all my paints right here. I've got.
Hold up. You got an airbrush?
Here's my problem.
There's jealousy in the heart. There's jealousy in the heart.
I got a cheap one from Amazon. I wanted to have one because, fun fact, I used to work at Sesame Place and I worked at a airbrush tattoo stand. So I have experience using a airbrush. So that was my first ever job.
Alfie, real quick, if we could interrupt, can you go back and say what you just said again real quick?
Yeah, I'm just going to buy the game, take the figures out, and take the game back.
Oh, so you're just going to do You're just gonna be like the Hasbro. You're just gonna be like what the people do with Hasbro.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I heard that. I just wanted to. Yeah, that was just
I mean,
okay.
Have you seen the pictures of the
Oh yeah.
Black
Yeah.
Series, with the clay inside that they've returned?
yeah.
Are we really that bad of fans? Are we really that bad?
I think
There are
in-
people.
Yeah.
Anything that you can do to make a buck, people will do to make a buck.
Yep. Hey, I did make a Star Wars purchase today. I've been holding off.
Here we go.
I've been holding off, and I did not want to, but it was something I just couldn't pass up. So while you guys are going to go buy this game, and Alfie's going to go take the characters out of it,
I'm not really going to do that. That's just a joke.
Yeah, I know. I'm just running with it. I got an email today. Hey, you should check this out at Shop Disney. This special Ahsoka character / doll is in there. It's like a 12-inch character, and sure enough, it was sitting there. And the old ones. What was that? The line that they had out a while back.
Forces of Destiny.
Forces of Destiny line that were like the 12-inch, almost Barbie doll style. Right now, those Ahsokas are going for $200 a piece. But you can go to Ollie's, and for $5 you can buy all the rest of them: Leia, Sabine, Padme, all that. But they had this Ahsoka at Shop Disney today. I told my wife, I was like, hey, we have a grandson, but I want to have some things ready for our granddaughter if that ever comes about. This Ahsoka was so good looking, I had to buy it, and I ordered it today.
Just because you have a grandson doesn't mean that he can't like Ahsoka and play with an Ahsoka figure.
Oh, I'm not saying that, but I've been told that I don't have enough. Like if a granddaughter was to show up, that I have to have some more female characters.
You have
Ahsoka's one of my favorite characters. So
you
I'm a
have
male.
all of the special edition Barbie Star Wars crossovers, or did you sell them already?
Some.
Did you already sell some of them off? Okay.
Yes, but I do have some still.
Do you still have the Chewbacca one? Because that's the rarest one, right?
I still have the Chewbacca and the R2D2. Yes.
Okay. You still have the Vader?
Yes.
Mm.
I was keeping my favorites. I was starting to look at ways I could help pay for the trip to Italy. Brent.
No, I know. But I was like, come on, those were awesome too.
Yep.
I'm DDoc. You probably have no care. There's probably a small fraction of the people, but at some point, Barbie, within the last 2 years, it was during COVID, like in the 2020s, Barbie had a crossover with Star Wars, and they reimagined like fashion stuff in the form of characters. So like when I say you had the Chewbacca one, she was wearing like fur pants. She was wearing like a skirt that was made of fur, and then there's the bandolier, and then the R2D2.
Awesome.
It was, and they had like 6 of them. There was a Darth Vader one, so obviously it was all black with like Darth Vader. R2D2. There was a C-3PO one. There was Chewbacca. Yeah, I can't remember all of them. There was like 6 of them.
Yeah,
and they were awesome.
Anytime someone does a collaboration with Star Wars, I'm interested in it. And that's also a great opportunity for Joe to say, see, my Star Wars collecting is helping pay for a trip to Italy. There you go. So then you can justify what we do. It's great. It's excellent. Win-win.
Agreed. So yeah, that was my purchase. Sorry, we were talking about all these other games and all that kind of stuff. So I broke. I couldn't help it. I had to jump in, and
It's a really good looking figure.
It's awesome. It's really, really awesome. I was like, wow, this was really top,
I will definitely be
shelf.
buying one.
Are you actually going to get it, or is it going to get canceled?
Oh, Brent.
It's
Shop Disney is reliable, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. Like I think if they have something for sale, you're getting it, basically.
Okay. Just checking.
just stab
Too
me.
soon? Too soon?
Yes, I've had
Okay.
too many other things canceled. So has Alfie. So
I still have one thing floating out there in the abyss of, is it going to be canceled? I think Yakface even posted the other day, you just bought a birthday cake for it because this pre-order's longer than a year.
birthday cake pre-orders. Has anybody been keeping track on anything? Again, I'm Steve Glosson tonight. I'm just derailing. Has anybody been keeping track of anything with High Republic? Has High Republic got anything new started yet? I know they're going to go to another phase.
You got to talk to the Duchess about that one.
Books were just announced and more comics, I do believe.
Because they're in
Okay.
phase 2, right? Like they're just starting phase 2.
I think they're just starting phase 2.
And
Right.
I only get this information from our friend Duchess, and I believe phase 2 is a prequel to phase 1. So they're gonna go rewind even further back.
Oh,
So Yoda will be 500 instead of 700.
Yeah. Yeah.
did Yoda ever show up in the series?
No, I think he was
I think
mentioned.
I think he was mentioned in the books that I read, but
And I think he actually showed up in a comic.
I
I
think
just
so.
was curious. I really, I hate to be down on the High Republic. I read 3 books. I've checked out a couple comics. Let me back up. I didn't read 3 books. I listened to 3 books, and I'm a terrible listener. So it's not fair to those 3 books to say that I read them. They just did not hold my interest at all.
Mark Thompson did the audio for them, and that's why I listened. It wasn't so much for the story, except the way he read it. He does such a good job that it does make it more appealing because it's very difficult to follow. We're a couple years in now. Where's the freaking guidebook? Where is the give me a hard coffee table book that I can go through and go, oh, that guy is that guy. Oh, okay, and this guy is this, and so on and
So
so
you
forth.
need a visual.
Well, hold on here. Let me back up here because I'm going to flip his opinion or his viewpoint here. I need a guidebook for the Ring of Power, and
Yeah.
I've felt the same way about the High Republic.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm watching this show and I'm like, could I get a Wikipedia page on who these people are?
Yeah.
Because in the High Republic is kind of the same way. You mention these characters in these events, like I should know what they are, and I have no clue. So they don't really resonate with me as being important.
So, yes, I completely support that. But at some point in 1977,
Mhm.
Tatooine was completely new and novel to everybody.
But there was a book out right away. There were magazines
Yeah,
out
but it
right away.
didn't catch on until it was a movie.
Wasn't it a bestseller? Wasn't it a bestseller in '76? Come on. Lucas and Aldine Foster, didn't they come out in '76 to get everybody ramped up? I don't know. I've got the book over there on the shelf.
You mean when they went to the comic book shows and stuff and showed
Yeah.
all the artwork
Yeah.
and showed the trailer, things like that? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, look, Brent, I get it. And you know what? We've had this discussion. 2 million people might read a book and 100 million people are going to see a movie.
Right.
And that's why it's that important to put another freaking movie in the freaking movie theater.
Hey,
Give me a High Republic movie. I'm there tomorrow. Take my
give
money
me
and I'll go.
give me a cartoon. All I want's a cartoon. Sorry, animation. All I want's a cartoon.
I'll watch a damn pod racing movie, like a rip off of F1. I don't even care. I'll see anything in the movie theater. I know that. I think movie is like the biggest taboo word in Star Wars fandom right now is movie. Because
a movie is, so permanent. You can't go with another season and try to fix things that you may have flubbed a little bit in the previous season. A movie, once you put it out, you've got 2 to 3 years in between. And even if you do try to fix some of those plot things that some people didn't perceive very well, now you've just eaten up a big portion of that 2.5 hours. And you're leaving the story behind.
I know I told you guys I was on a TikTok live on Saturday. I was repping Rule the Galaxy very respectfully for everybody here. But there was like a panel of like 5 people. I was invited to it and I was talking to them. It was late Saturday. And there was one guy who was, I can't think of his name right now, but he was bringing some incredible points as to why we're not getting a movie. And one thing he brought up that I never thought of is the fact that Star Wars cannot get any sponsorships basically when it comes to product placement inside of movies. Like he was like Transformers was almost completely paid for by Chevy because they wanted that was almost like a big Chevy commercial for their cars, Chevy and GMC. He's like, it's not like you can have a Coke can in a Star Wars movie. It's like all the funding comes directly from Disney and that's it, which is something that I've never really thought of. It's not like you're going to have, an X-Wing pilot wearing a pair of Nikes or something like.
Yeah. And since all the ships in Star Wars run out of gas and all the car companies are now going electric,
I mean,
Probably not a good mix right there.
Demolition Man said that Taco Bell was gourmet food, and that was their way of working Taco Bell in. There's a way to work in. You could have a Nike, but it would have to be a Nike in a Star Wars motif, and then just market the hell out of those things, and some Star Wars fans will buy it. Like the Boba Fett Adidas or the Baby Grogu Adidas. People buy, or the Nikes, the running shoes that have the X-Wing pilot and the Darth Vader ones. People buy those things. All you got to do is kind of work that into it'd be perfect in Andor because they're in the mountain. You could do a mountain hiking boot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to me, there's been enough time too. It's like everybody always talks about, Ryan McGee actually had commented to me and Alfie on Twitter, and Ryan McGee always brings it back to what happened with Solo. He said 100%. They're still scarred with what happened with Solo.
Yeah.
And he said everybody who complained about that movie or whatever, he's like, that's partly to blame for it. But I mean, to me, Star Wars, this is a logo that puts asses in the seats. Like that's like Star Wars puts people in the movie theaters. We're buying all their figures. I mean, I didn't want to debate, but I was thinking this when, okay, you can't get product placement, but their figures sell out for years, even if there isn't any movies going on that have to do with those, even if it's a figure from 1970 something, their Legos sell out constantly. There is constant money revenue flow going to Star Wars. And I'm happy with our shows. I don't want to, I always feel like when you ask for a movie, people are like, oh, well, you're not happy with the shows? Of course I am. I love it. But the movie is different, We
had this conversation the other day, and I agree with you 100%. I love the shows. I think some of them, for the most part of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, have been lacking. They're okay. But give me The Godfather in the theater any day over 8 seasons of The Sopranos. The very best, the pinnacle of television. I would rather go sit in a theater and watch The Godfather.
If you're not watching right now on YouTube, by the way, you need to just to see Brent's face.
And I love The Sopranos. Don't get me wrong. I watched the series like 5 times, but there's when you go to the movie theater and the lights go dark, there's no distraction. There's no one saying, pause this, I got to change the laundry. Or do you want something to eat? Hey, I got to go to the bathroom. Hey, if you're going by the kitchen, could you get me something to drink? When the lights go off for that 2.5 hours, you are in Star Wars. You're in a Star Wars movie. It's not the same experience watching it at home.
And we were talking about lines of revenue. Guys, I will say this. Star Wars basically has paid for itself many times over with action figures, comic books, novels, all those kind of things, video games that other things don't have or that aren't as successful. If done properly and you market those things, they're going to make it. Let's say you lose some money on the movie. You're going to make your money up with all those things if they're done properly and marketed properly. I mean, let's face it, it was an avenue. George said, if this movie works, great, but I'm going to make the money off the stuff we sell. And that's where it all started right there. He was able to make so much money off the Kenner line and off other things related to it. So
I don't believe, and see, this is where I got to go back to the toys that made us. I don't believe that I don't believe George, they made money off. I don't believe they made money off of Kenner. They made it eventually, but like the initial contract for like the first 10 years, 15 years, they like fleeced like for what they got, right? For what people bought, and no one thought it was going to be worthwhile. They said, here, you do this, we'll take like a fraction of a percentage of your sales. You do what you do, because no one ever heard of doing something like that before. But it completely revolutionized merchandising for movies.
Yes, because if you actually read into it, The Empire Strikes Back is the most successful independent film of all time because of what he made from merchandising. He was actually able to make his own sequel to Star Wars.
Right. I mean, you're right, Brent. He could have gotten more, but he said, hey, just let me have this and I'll make X amount. But it was still quite a bit of money. And yes, he fought it for the next so many years to get a higher percentage, later on down the line.
And that's part of the reason why you're dealing with Hasbro, is because how much they had to pay to get the licensing from. They're like that's part of why I feel like there's a lot of this issue with supply chain and not having figures, and that Hasbro is controlling the flow, and it's just a different world of merchandising.
I get that, but I also feel that Hasbro is completely content to charge us the in-store prices for things that never hit the store.
Mhm.
They can sell out, the 350th repaint of a clone trooper and never have to worry about shipping it to Walmart, Target, and everywhere else. Right. And still make you pay the same price with all of those add-ons built into it.
Well, right, because look, I dabbled with this for a short while. If you go order 1,000 clone troopers, if you're Walmart, for example, and you say, I want 1,000 of those, it's half the price of what we're paying for it in the store. So if they can bypass Walmart and ship it to us for the full price right there, they're perfectly content doing that, because now they're making full price on a guy like you or me instead of half price to Walmart or Target or whatever. So we'll get off the toy subject because Brent, I've tried to make it to where I don't shove the toy subject down his throat that much. We have Andor coming out. Brent has been high on Andor. We are all excited for Andor. We feel like there's a lot of stuff going on there. Alfie's been showing us lots of feedback from people who've seen the first 3 episodes of Andor. I don't know what to expect as far as good, bad, or in general, but I'm excited for it. And I'm not gonna be able to talk to you guys about it for the next 3 or so weeks. So what are some of your thoughts? We're going into this and we're getting 3 episodes this week. What is it? Just 1 episode each of the next 2 weeks after that?
It's 12 weeks.
But it's 12 episodes.
12 episodes.
I'm
We get
sorry.
9 weeks.
Yeah,
sorry, it's 12 episodes.
I'm not the one who said it.
Okay.
You said it.
I did. I misspoke.
What are we looking at? I'm excited about the Mon Mothma story and what's going on in the Senate. I think that's a cool storyline. I want to see more of this. The guy from the Marvel Universe, Stellan Skarsgård. I want to know what's going on there and what relationship he's got with Andor.
I want to know what he's got with Mon Mothma.
And
Because I feel it. I
Yeah.
feel like from what I've seen, and I have tried to keep away from it. It seems like he's the go-between between Cassian and Mon Mothma. He's kind of like the capo, where Mon Mothma is the Don Corleone. Mon Mothma is the local cap, Mon Mothma is the Don Corleone. Skarsgård's character is like the capo that sends the hitman out to send me the bull to go do the wet work.
Gotcha, Alfie. You were going to say something.
Yeah. In seeing this relationship between the two of them, and then Andor, who has an established backstory already in canon, I imagine that will be reworked. But, going back to the EU, one thing that always interested me was when we got far enough away from the Civil War, when the Empire came back to the New Republic and started becoming a part of it again.
Mm-hmm.
With Andor's backstory, will we see any of the interactions between former separatists coming into the Empire? Has that ever been explored in? I can't think of that really being explored in any Star Wars stories before. What would the separatist worlds have to do to come back to the Empire?
I almost feel like we're going to have to see that because of the brief glimpses of the clone troopers, the live action clone troopers. There's been at least 2 previews. Like the first preview, they were there for a blip. And there was another preview where you see like a group of about 8 or 9 of them walking down what looks to be like a base, down an alley of a base or something. So it looks like, and if you're seeing clone troopers, would you think that their clone troopers are invading a separatist location? Those types of things. Like I almost feel like there has to be some of that, like that recruitment to the Empire, or
In Bad Batch, wasn't that one where the Bad Batch went off to? Wasn't that a separatist world where they helped the general or that gentleman bring his planet back under Empire rule?
Wasn't that Ryloth? Not
No, no,
Ryloth.
no.
It wasn't Ryloth.
This was the guy with like the handlebar mustache.
Yeah, and the
sideburns.
guy
Is at the end of A New Hope.
And yeah. That's what I was gonna say. You watched it in New Hope, and you saw the guy in the background.
Yeah. So they were a separatist. So I think
they helped him escape, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they tased all of their other clone trooper brethren. Because they were trying to help because that was a separatist world, and they started to see the evil of they were okay with it, but then they started to see the oppression of the Empire, and yeah.
So I think it sounds to me like the Empire said, okay, Republic's gone, Empire's in place. If you're a separatist, the war's over. You're now part of us, and we're going to come and just like in Ryloth, where they started having to bring those in, and now that planet, and I forget the name of it. So I think step by step they go from this, the central part of the universe out until you get to the furthest reaches out.
Nick Shesky is sitting there in his house yelling the name of this planet because it's like it was the old capital of the separatists. It was like, yeah, it was the capital of the it's not Ryloth.
We'll find it. Alfie?
Regal, maybe? I don't know.
Google that. Wikipedia that.
Didn't Padme go there in a Clone Wars episode?
Was that with Lux Bonteri?
Yeah, I think so.
And his mom, who was a senator, and she got assassinated, and
yeah.
All I remember is that we were talking about it during the Bad Batch episode, and Shesky knew exactly what planet it was.
I miss Big Bad Nick. He sent us a message before. We've all got a lot of stuff going on, and Nick will be back soon, and hopefully he'll get to chime in with you guys on some of the Andor shows, because I know he's looking forward to that. And you're right, he's probably listening to this in a few days and going, I know this.
Raxus. I knew it started with an R.
There you go.
Abhi Singh.
There we go.
Abhi Singh, and wasn't it the capital?
Was the leader?
It was the capital of the. Yep. It was Raxus Prime.
Love it. Here we were shoehorning this all together. Are there any characters that we want to see or don't want to see? Is there anything we're hopeful for or nervous of when it comes to Andor? Things we were like, I don't need that, or I really would like to see some action with this.
I mean, I'll say, I've seen, the comments of there's not fan service, which I disagree, because I think the show in its entirety is fan service that we're seeing an Andor show, which I like fan service. I'm a fan. I'm fine with that. As Andor is getting closer, as we're here on Andor Eve, I can't help but to think, I'm just like, I don't know what the hell is going to happen in the show. I know we know his destiny, I know we know Andor's destiny kind of and everything, but I'm not sure what to expect at all from this. And I'll say, I don't think there's ever been a Star Wars show that has released more variations of its trailer than this one. I'll admit, I have actually stopped watching Andor trailers when they say there's a new one. Oh, that's true. But I'm just overall kind of excited to go into this and just be like, all right, what do you got? I'm hearing this is a bit different. I'm hearing it's a slow burn. I'm hearing it's different than what we've gotten. And I'm excited to learn some of the new characters that show up around him. As you said, the Skarsgård character looks very interesting. I think he's going to play a cool role. I think Andor's going to meet a lot of new characters that will probably lose throughout this show, so
kind of like Tala and Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a pretty dark show. I don't know. I'm going into it with just vibes that it is going to be darker than what we're used to in Star Wars.
So we've got Mon Mothma in it. Do we need Bail Organa? Are we going to see Bail Organa? Are we going to see? Do we need to see anything related to Kanan, Hera, Ahsoka, any of those type of characters? We know we're going to see Saw Gerrera. Anything that you're thinking really makes sense to have these in the story, and anything you're saying, hey, keep those out. Let's move on towards building its own story. Go ahead, Alfie.
Not this season, but I would say as you get further into the second season, Hera is a definite character that should show up, unless Cassian's first visit to Yavin 4 just happened to be at the beginning of Rogue One. You would assume that he's been there before. He knew how to get there. Hera was there. The Ghost was there. Chopper was there. I don't think that's far of a stretch. I don't think that would necessarily be fan service. Anyone that was in episode 4 at Yavin 4 should be there in the second season of Andor if he were to go to Yavin 4.
Okay. Brent, this has been your soapbox show. Anything you're wanting to see, not wanting to see, or any thoughts, positive or negative?
So all the statements about fan service, right? And then DDoc saying like they're just making it about Andor's fan service. I'm sorry, a space shuttle that has lightsabers coming out the side of the ship is fan service. Like, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, it's amazing. Everyone who saw that clip was like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" Like, all of us have said that, right?
The
like
Darth
at
Maul
some
of
point,
ships.
it like he shoots the lasers out the side, does a little barrel roll, and slices 2 ships in half. Come on, that is 100% a fan service moment. But so I digress from that. Yeah, I was, when you were talking about the Hera crew and the Yavin 4, I was trying to think back because Gilroy said the first season is like encompasses like 5 years of growth, and then the second season is like almost 1 year, but almost leading up to the events of immediately
Opposite.
to.
You got it backwards.
Oh, it's the other way around?
Yeah. First season
Second.
is 1 year. The second season is 4 years, and each 3 episodes represents a year.
I thought that was the first season. I stand corrected, but I was thinking that was the first season as I was speaking. Like, but yeah, either way, like.
Hey, I'm just here to help you out, buddy.
Perfect.
That's what I'm here for.
Perfect, right? I mean, you're the Book of Alfie. You're the Book of Alfie. You're always right.
Make a great show. A Star Wars show where these two were captain and co-pilot of a ship. These two,
that would be excellent.
Alfie and Brent. As
the question is, who's going to be the pilot and the co-pilot?
Well, if it's going to be like Han and Chewie, you're the co-pilot.
Well, just because I'm hairy and a large man, like okay.
Yeah, I mean, you fit the mold right there. But then again, you are kind of a take charge kind of guy, so you might fit the captain's role. And Alfie's got a lot of, he's got a lot of the gopher from Love Boat about him. He knows a little bit about the ship. He's very congenial.
I'm just a Mog. I'm half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
All right, barf. Well,
so yeah, if you want to go back to like individuals that you might see, I'll go back to what they said two years ago. There's 200 named people from the script, right? So again, people get named all the time. Like the guy who replaced Akbar in Rogue One, I'm sure had a name, and I don't know his name, but the
Admiral Raddick, I believe.
Raddick, yeah. See, like, okay. The reason why you probably know that is because there's a toy there that has his name on it, and you purchased that toy.
The ship in The Last Jedi was named after him.
There we go. And Stephen Stanton played him in that. He was the voice character for that. So
sure, right. I believe every word you're saying, and it's just I don't get that deep into that stuff. Anyway,
fan service,
right? So there's definitely like named characters, but there's 200 of them. So even the guys that we think of, I'm sure there's going to be somebody that we forget about, and we'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that dude, so and so." I really am interested to see who that female officer in white is that's walking with like a purpose. I'm really interested to see Cassian and how he plays both sides of the coin, because there's what looks like he's in like the academy, and he plays the spy, like kind of Atala-ish, where he's got the Empire clothes on and what he actually does. So I'm interested to see that.
Like Ezra in Rebels. Yeah.
You just pick up a stormtrooper uniform every episode.
So and then
never keep the same one though. You just keep getting a new one.
And then you got Krennic. Does Krennic show up? I mean, Krennic is like
I haven't heard that.
I know I haven't either. I mean,
that one came out like
for a while. It was
2 years ago, and it was pretty high. I haven't heard anything about Krennic being in there. It would make sense why he would be. It would be awesome because he's a great character.
Right, and I mean, he could just show up and basically tell that little woman, like, and that's the reason why she's walking with a purpose, because he put her in like her place and told her to go do something.
Okay.
I also want to see that white-haired guy. All right, so there's a room. So he's wearing white.
yeah.
He's a white officer. There's a room that's all lit up in white. I want to know what the hell that is. And then just like
guy from Game of Thrones,
yeah,
Maester Qyburn.
And then there's the other one that's like, and they've shown him a couple times, like the footless prisoners, right? Or that like ship. But they also go back to show the ship from a distance, and you see the porthole window and see the people going through there. So what the hell is that all about?
Huh.
Yeah, why don't they have shoes on?
And that's fine. That's why I set you up, Alfie.
Do we think that even if it's in a hologram, even if it's in a communication with somebody, that the Emperor or Darth Vader
100%.
make a presence in this? Yeah.
Why would you spend all that money and time in getting those two characters back in a role and not say, hey, why don't we go ahead and knock 45 seconds out for Andor while we're here? Hey, Ian, could you just say some stuff for, it doesn't matter, we'll redub it later and stick it in this show or that show, whatever, but you're here. It takes 6 hours to get into makeup. Let's do it.
My only reason why I say no is because Obi-Wan was shot in Los Angeles and the bulk of Andor was shot in England. So not to say that they can't hop on a plane. I get it. They can hop on a plane, but I don't know if it's as easy, because they were like, McDermott was on set for Obi-Wan. Like they showed that in the Obi-Wan, like the making of stuff. So he was actually on set. So yeah, I mean, they could show up. I'm not saying that they're not going to show up, but I don't think it's as easy as just like, but at the same time, here's the volume, here's green screen, go stand in the green screen, we'll make it look like you were there.
Right.
Like they have that technology 100%.
And they make the most sense. If you're on Coruscant and we're going to deal with the Imperial Senate and lots of Empire stuff, that to me isn't necessarily fan service, because it makes sense onto why they would be there.
And
you're in their backyard.
They show the Senate too, right? So you would think that the Emperor would be in the Senate chamber. Like, I just don't know about Vader. Like, I agree, like it makes sense, but I don't know how close. See, and this is where this is my knowledge of the EU separates from your guys' knowledge of the EU, is I don't know, and I was never of the belief from watching it, from my headcanon of watching and knowing what I know, that Vader was tied to the Empire or to the Emperor. Go ahead.
In the EU, there was an announcement and a presentation of Vader to the galaxy. It's in the Rise of the Dark Lord.
Yep, Rise of the Dark Lord after Revenge of the Sith.
So he was announced, right? But then from that announcement, though, was he like?
Oh yeah, he was front and present.
Was he always right-hand man to Emperor? Because I thought he was out doing his own thing, but the Emperor, they would have communication. The Emperor would basically say, "You're going to do what I say now," but he was out doing his own thing.
To keep this short, yes, there were many instances in the EU where he was. I can remember one story that involved an Imperial officer who told. The story of him was in a military parade. Vader stopped and said, "You're going to do great things one day," and because he could sense the force sensitivity of them. So just that one little example there, Vader was, a presence in the Empire. Now, that's no longer canon. So that was a long way to answer your question and say, I don't really know. Sorry about that.
No, it's just, I think it makes sense to have the Emperor, but that's why I don't know if Vader will be there.
Well, the only thing I'll say about this is there's a few things in Star Wars that are your money makers. There are a few things that really put your butts in the seat. We all know that since Mandalorian came out, Grogu puts the butts in the seats and sells merchandise. Darth Vader, when he showed up in Rogue One, Darth Vader, when he showed up in Kenobi, that's what everybody wanted to see, right? They wanted to see, I mean, even in the Kenobi show you were just talking about, the gallery or whatever, everybody said they stopped and just watched when Vader showed up. That's the presence he brings. So is he needed in it? No, it doesn't. You're right, Brent. He probably isn't needed in it, but would it make people go, oh, wait a minute, was that Vader who just went through there? Whoa, what's Vader doing in there? It perks up the interest a little bit just to see Vader. So
And that's all I think. That's all I think I want to see. I don't want to have lines from him. I don't want to see him. I don't need to see him in action. But if you just see a glimpse of him walking out of the room, or cool. Just see a glimpse of him doing something and turning and going when somebody else comes in.
The Deadpool 2 with the X-Men mansion when Professor X closes the doors and all the main X-Men are inside. Yeah, I could see that with Vader.
You mean they can't get anybody else?
No, they can't get anybody. Just you, this big mansion. It's just you two here all the time.
Just a prepubescent, yeah, right. And the big metal guy, right. Yeah, that's all I get. Is Wolverine in there? Is he? No, okay, he's not available. Gotcha. No, I think you're right. And Brent, I love it because if you have it to where there's any kind of confrontation and you can tell that Vader is stomping off out of the room or coming in and whisking by and people are getting nervous, right? Just for that moment, that's really all you need to see. You just need to see that glimpse to feel that ominous feeling and then go on with the story around that. I like it.
I think just like overall hearsay of people in the galaxy of like saying like I've heard about this guy like Vader, like rumors and tales of what's going on. I think that kind of stuff would be pretty cool too, like just like the overall mystery behind him for some people who might not know who he is or have never seen him before, because this is an interesting timeline where it's happening, and like you brought up one thing where it's not technically a character, but like I want to see that Imperial Senate. I want to see some things floating around and some debates going on, in there, and seeing what this transition is like politically. It's going to be interesting to witness that and see when they start getting a little heavy-handed and how people start to react to that. You know what I mean?
I like it. Brent, you brought up you and Alfie were talking about the Kenobi thing. I will throw it out there. I really enjoyed the Kenobi kind of show, going through it all and everything at the end. The Lost Jedi Returns or whatever, the Jedi's Return. But I felt like it was good for like reminiscing and feeling good about things. But when we watch the Mandalorian shows like that, I feel like they dug into things a little bit more. I felt like they got a little deeper. And that's one of the things I love about Star Wars is the behind the scenes stuff with digging in on here's what we had to do and here's how this worked. I felt it was more of like a reminiscing. Okay, oh, Hayden, what do you think about? Oh, Obi-Wan, what do you think about? It was good because anytime you can put those characters on the screen, I'll watch it. I really wish they would have dug in a little bit into the meat of it a little bit. Go ahead, Brent.
I think you're clouded. Your memory is clouded. The dark side is going over you, because the first season of the gallery of the Mandalorian was that way. The second and the third, and the second and the Boba Fett, all of them have just been a quick gloss. Every one of them have been more of the reminiscence pieces and not as far as digging in. The first one was the one that was amazing, that went in detail, told you Filoni's thought processes, told you the special effects thought process, how they work together. The first one of the gallery was the one that was the important one, the big one. And then I think you ride that high. But if you go back and watch it each one individually, a lot of them are just, the happy-go-lucky highlights.
You are correct. And I think I was probably meshing that all the way into the Icons Uncovered that was on Vice, and then the Light and Magic. Those things I feel like have become more nitty-gritty into the underworkings of all this stuff. You're right, though.
Well, the Luke one was pretty good like that.
Yeah,
the Luke one too, right? So the Luke, but that was specific to that technology and that series or that sequence that everybody fell in love with.
You are correct. But this one I was hoping would be more like that first Mandalorian one. That's exactly how I wanted it to be. And again, I'll take it because I love Ewan McGregor. I think Hayden Christensen's awesome. I thought the things they discussed was pretty cool, but I was like, there's some more meat on the bones there, right? We could have dug into that a little bit more. So, hey, we've been going for an hour. I just wanted to check and weigh in with everybody before I left. Alfie, hit us with
One
something.
more thing. In this show, first season, second season, what have you, will we see the evolution from the clone trooper to the stormtrooper?
I hope so, because you see those clone troopers in those previews.
I would think
I think
so.
you'll see it. I think you'll see it more telegraphed in this one than you've seen it in others. I mean, Bad Batch tried, right? I mean, Bad Batch.
They alluded to.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's why I said they tried. There wasn't a full on. Yeah.
I just wonder in the time jump, will we see? Will we leave with clone troopers and then come back with stormtroopers?
I like that. From the beginning to the end, I would like to see that. Yeah. Go ahead, DDoc.
Now, like my brain always gets mush. Where is the Bad Batch timeline in relation to this show?
It's right after. It's right after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so like, is there?
This is like right at Kenobi. Isn't this? No, this isn't at Kenobi. This is after.
Yeah, this is 5 years before A New Hope.
Yep.
Okay, so
it would be like 10 years after Kenobi. No. 5 to 7 years after Kenobi.
Yeah, and 15 years, basically 14 years after Revenge of the Sith, something like that.
Which is DDoc, which is why I feel like Star Wars fans are having issues, is because of this conversation right here, placing things into timelines.
Well, yeah, because if you throw Solo in there, you muddy the waters even more because you think it should be during this, and it's actually way before.
When is Solo? It's before Kenobi and.
I would have to. I think so.
Because Infant's Nest.
I think Solo, Kenobi, and Fallen Order are all like right in the same year.
Okay.
So if there was ever an opportunity for a live action Bad Batch appearance, it would be technically in this show, right? Like, do you think they're going to dive into clone troopers, or do you think they're going to avoid that? Because like, I mean, we got to get the clone trooper voices if we're seeing a group of them, together. Like, they're probably going to be giving some kind of orders or whatever, and like as the clone troopers are faded out, like, are we going to see them with their helmets off, like possibly a conversation between some of them, like where or I guess the only clone troopers who are left are ones whose brains are zonked from the chips? Like,
well, I mean, we saw one who was a homeless veteran in Kenobi.
True.
So, and that was right before, this was a little before this. So that's a good question. I think it is tough until we see something laid out in front of us. It's very difficult to kind of judge all this. I'm sure there's some expert right now who's like, phase this occurred from this year to this year, phase that occurred from here to here. The transition occurred on this date. I mean, but I don't know those.
Yeah, that is a good question, because Bad Batch showed all the clones being evacuated from Camino City, and it's destroyed. Yep. So they can't make any new ones.
And they also showed the starting of the conscription of people and the paid troops. So they're in a transition period, right? So they were the transition period. And I have a feeling, and I know they say that it happens over the course of 1 year. There's got to be flashbacks, because that's where I feel like the clone troopers, there has to be some sort of a flashback moment.
Yeah, you can't have clone troopers going on right now. In the timeline of when Andor is actually like the meat of it.
With him being actual Andor, like with him being Cassian and him being in the Empire as a rebel Imperial spy, I don't think you can't. They got to be stormtroopers.
Man, I don't know, because there's one clip that shows the clone troopers in the middle of that crowd, where you see the Imperial guys with the shields and batons. There's a second shot that shows the clone troopers, because they're standing one way and then half of them turn and get into like a defensive firing position.
Well, maybe we're all going to get our minds blown.
Now, this goes along with trailers. You have to take them with a grain of salt, because you never know what's cut out.
And you don't know how they splice it together just to try to give you that image.
See, this is why it's like, House of the Dragon started. They actually skipped an intro for the first episode, and they did a quick couple clips, and then they wrote out on the screen basically saying this show takes place 200 years before Daenerys Targaryen. And they like established your timeline just so like there's no questioning, like, wait a second, when is this going on? It's just like, this is when the show is taking place before what you know happened. This is the timeline. Let's go. And then they started it like that. Like, it wouldn't be bad if some of these Star Wars shows did that to start their show. You know, this show takes place in X timeline. You know, where, you know, before Luke Skywalker did this, or after this happened. Like, use a historical moment, use that as my pinpoint. Tell
Are
me
you
where
saying
we're at.
bring back the opening crawl?
Does
Yeah.
anybody else feel
Wow.
like a bunch of us in this world are more worried about the Star Wars history than our own history?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Alfie, I can't believe actually that I was just like so subconsciously just talking about something that has always existed in Star Wars movies. I mean,
And they took it
not-
away.
Yes. Like, that was very subconscious. Like, hey, let us know where
Man.
we're at before this, you know? Yeah, maybe do the crawl. I mean, why'd you get rid of the crawl? I mean, I know they didn't do it for Rogue One. They did the little but yeah, I don't know. Game of Thrones said, screw it. We're going to give you your timeline and we're going to give you the same intro song.
Yeah. But I still have to talk about what that actually, because there was symbolism in the Game of Thrones intro. There is not, I can't figure out the symbolism of this one. That's why we need to talk. Those are some of the questions that are in my head.
Well, you guys
Teaser,
can
we will
eat that
have
up.
You
a
guys-
House of the Dragon episode next week.
Yeah, the
Teaser.
House of the Dragon crew here. You do know that the end of this show was in Game of Thrones. That they tell you how this ends.
I made it halfway through this book and I got confused. So
Yeah, there's a specific scene in Game of Thrones where Joffrey tells Marjorie exactly how this show ends.
I gotta look at. I gotta rewatch. I don't know.
You see,
I don't want to know at this point.
You see what we're doing right here? We're following along with Scott Riffin's point of view on our show. Diversity, plenty of topics right here. We bring it all
Worlds
together.
colliding,
Worlds colliding.
bringing it all together. It's a
1,000
circle.
points of light.
Goes in a circle.
1,000 points of light.
So I do have a short topic though that I did want to not miss on tonight's show because it's funny and it's also a shout out to Nick as well. But my son is obsessed with the older Lego Star Wars game, the one that Alfie has talked about that includes
The complete saga.
The complete saga.
And me and him are playing it together. And right now, he is falling in love with Star Wars. This Lego game, like as we've been going on here, it has been his introduction. He's loving it. It's pretty cool to watch happen because it's happening kind of naturally. So he wanted to watch episode 1 the other day. Me and him watched it. He still gets Qui-Gon and old Obi-Wan mixed up with each other, but I tell him that's okay. But me and him watched Attack of the Clones together. We did not finish the entire movie, but he was very uncomfortable with Anakin and Padme together because they're going together. And it was one scene where the two of them are staring at each other. And he looks at me and goes, he's like, you know, my son is
Is this what love is like?
He's pushing 6 and he goes, what's going on with them? Kind of like, you know, he doesn't get it. He's like, are they going on a trip together? So then it jumps to the scene where Anakin is walking, carrying Padme's bags. And he goes, yeah, they're on vacation together. Like so nonchalantly. And then when they kissed each other, he was like, what is going on? Like, he was like, what is this? And then today my wife tells me apparently David's saying he has a girlfriend at school. So I'm like, it's Attack of the Clones. I blame Attack of the Clones for it.
It's what real love is. This is how real love happens.
Yeah.
It's exactly how it
Attack of the
happens.
Clones on Saturday. I'm like, I showed it to him too early. He knows what love is now because that's what Nick said. Attack of the Clones shows you what love is. He saw Padme and Anakin go on their vacation together. And,
You need to show him the attack. You need to see him the battle in Geonosis quickly.
Yes. Take his mind off. Yeah.
Oh, well, he loves that. He loved that scene because he kept saying, I want the scene where they have the lightsabers and they fight the bugs. And I was
There you
just
go.
like, all right, Geonosis battle. All right, there we go. Yeah.
Love it.
The Lego game. Cheers to the Lego game. That is really bringing him into
I
it.
think it was Celebration 2. I know we said we were cutting off, and I apologize for this.
I'm sorry. This is my fault. Yeah.
Celebration 2. That's going back to Attack of the Clones.
2002. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a trailer for that game. Lego Star Wars, The Complete Saga. And I have been playing that game through nephew, niece, cousins, my son, now my daughter, since 2002. That is a awesome game. And I hate that the new one just doesn't match up to it. Doesn't hold a candle to it.
Wow.
Because you get to play it together, and that's the best part.
And it's so easy.
Yes, the new one, he'll wander around by himself. He gets a little lost on it, and we don't do it 2-player because it's permanent split screen and it's just too confusing on the eyes. So yeah, that original game, I realized to myself, I'm just like, this game is going to probably be my kid's introduction into Star Wars.
My daughter, who's 25, her and her husband still play that Lego Star Wars game right there that you were talking about, Alfie. Yeah, they love
It's
it.
a great game.
Okay, round the horn. Anything else? Topic anybody wants to hit? We good? Everybody?
Just enjoy your trip to Italy, Joe. I mean, we'll hold down the fort for you while you're gone. We'll have some fun here, and just enjoy yourself.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to make this. My wife and I never really had a honeymoon. This is our year of our 30th anniversary. We're gonna go there, and she's never been overseas, so it's gonna be an adventure. Brent and I, when you go overseas and you do these things, there's some different stuff out there. So it's gonna be an adventure for sure, and we're excited. And I know you guys will hold down the fort and do a great job. And I know we've got the shows planned and all that. So looking forward to hearing all the fun stuff you guys cover and coming back and catching up with you when I get back. So you guys are the best. I thank you guys so much. Nick, I wish Nick was here with us tonight. But I know he'll probably catch on for some of the Andor shows while I'm gone. This was chapter 166. We are the rest of the gang will run the crew for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we're excited about that. As always, follow us, Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter and Instagram, Rule the Galaxy on Facebook and YouTube, Rule the Galaxy podcast on TikTok. Rule the Galaxy SW@gmail.com, and on Etsy, Etsy.com, Rule the Galaxy, all caps, all together, one word. And until I get back from Italy, while these guys are running the show, until then, may the Force be with you.